Okay, hey everybody, this is Richie from the Metal Cell Forums. I'm delighted to welcome Danielle, Evan and Joe to the show. How are we, lads?
All good.
Yeah, I'm looking particularly orange, actually, the more I think.
You do. You look like you've been on the beds.
Liver failure or jaundice or something.
Yeah, well, there's that definitely adding to the tilt.
Yeah, that's playing a factor.
Cheers, lads.
Yeah.
It's been one long piss up, 20 days of it.
Yeah,
Wow.
I have a bad old sunburn, like, it's bad, like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did I not show you my sunburn? All right, hello.
She's worried about you, man.
Yeah.
No, like, Thursday before
Fall
we
asleep
left,
in the sun? No?
I was listening to a podcast and I was like, oh, do you know what? Because I don't wear a t-shirt when I play, I was like, I don't want to look like an idiot and have like a mega farmer stand. So I took off my top and lay there being like, it's not that sunny. And then I went in to get a glass of water, could see like my chest was getting red. So I put my t-shirt.
Did you take the bra off at that stage?
Well, I had to, or else I'd look worse.
Okay,
like, but I
enough,
put the t-shirt over, thinking like I was like, oh, my stomach is born. Like, Jesus Christ! By the time, like, when we got in the van, then heading to Limerick, I was like, I couldn't really feel my clothes
Oh, no.
on my skin, and it was like red raw for the Cro-Mags gigs, and then like yesterday, it was like.
Peeling.
Yeah, like right here, it's burnt. Like. But I won't subject people to it, but it's probably one of the worst ones that I've got.
I'm glad you brought up that. We've a fucking shitload to talk about, which is great. Major catching up with all, because apart from Evan, I haven't talked to Joe and Danielle in ages. So maybe we'll just start with you, Evan, because I went to the Cro-Mags and worn out in Limerick. It was definitely the best I've ever seen you play.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was fantastic. And the main stage, the sound, everything suited you so much. Wow.
Yeah, it was nice to get to do it on a level like that, and having, like, when Kieran does sound as well, it's like, you know, before a gig, unless you're traveling with your own engineer, you can be kind of worried about what way you're going to get. But like, we knew once Kieran was doing the sound, it was going to be even like the setup. Because
the setup was actually cool the way it worked out.
Yeah. Like, I used for all the gigs, I brought my kit for the support bands. But even like when Cro-Mags finished their sound check, we had the kit up on stage, played through like 1.5 songs, and we're like, yeah, cool, good, that's perfect. Like, so. Yeah. Again, hats off to Kieran. He just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, and therefore there was no stress even.
No, it was
you just hit the stage and off you went. Yeah. Did you get good feedback from a lot of the people that watched you? And we'll say, what about the Cro-Mags? Did they watch you as well?
Cro-Mags, like, the lads were genuinely like overly sound. Like, for the whole thing, they went out of their way to talk to us. Like, they really like, you know, like, they didn't have to come up and tell us that they really enjoyed our set. And then even like when we got to the next gig, it was straight away welcome, as if, you know, we'd known each other for a long time. It's because it's kind of like, in my head, like, they don't owe us anything.
No.
They don't have to. Like, they tour all, like, they're doing massive tours, but to see them put that much effort into just some Irish band that they were playing like 2 gigs with was class. Like, they really, really are just the nicest lads, and they're like, getting to watch them was amazing, but getting to hang out with them was, you know, all the better. Like,
that's amazing, man. I'm so glad that you got on really well with them, because sometimes they can just make a big difference, you know, in how even the gig goes for yourself. If you're supporting someone who can be a bit sort of standoffish or arsey, you know? Yeah.
Well, that was it. They even, like, when they were kind of loading their gear in, came over, handshakes. Gary, the guitar or the drummer, like, I've watched so many of his, like, he introduced himself and I was like, I know exactly who you are, but I'll go through the niceties. And you know what, like, and he'd sit there, we just talked about drums, talked about like everything. You know, they really, really are the nicest.
What bands is he in as well?
I've seen most of the stuff that I saw him. He does a lot of stuff for like Yamaha. He does like like if they have new gear coming up, he might do a lot of the videos. But he's played with a shit ton of bands now.
They're kind of like the Suicidal Tendencies, Joe, insofar as they're kind of always a rotating mixture of quality musicians going through, which would say no more than Mike Muir and Harley like being the mainstays. Like,
absolutely, like, you know, and it's, you know, I think for a while there was actually 2 versions of them going around, wasn't there?
Well, there's Cro-Mag's JM.
Yeah, Don Joseph's one or whatever.
Harley has the actual rights to the name.
Yeah, but like by all accounts, like I know a couple of people who were at it in Belfast and stuff, and they said that it was amazing. Like, and they said specifically you guys went down really well. You know.
Yeah, Belfast was really good. Now, I think between the 2 gigs, there was something about Belfast that, because we'd played there before, but we'd never managed to play Voodoo. I think. Oh,
right, okay.
See, a lot of people thought that we had played Voodoo, but we hadn't.
I thought you did.
Yeah, and like even just the crowd and everything got really into it, and you know, the lads in Cro-Mags watched the whole thing and swapping numbers and contact details and stuff after, and
class.
Just had a very full heart, you know, at the end of the night. Just was great. Like still buzzing off it now. Like,
yeah, like, I mean, there was loads of drama as well with Harley saying that, you know, no selfies and stuff, but I'm glad he kind of relented in the end.
That was one of the first things he talked about as well. I was like, listen, basically, if people didn't know that he was in Edinburgh like the night before Limerick, and he got a picture with a guy, and they had like their band's EP or whatever, but turns out it was like a neo-Nazi band or whatever, and it's like, you know, he's not fucking, and no one expects him to do a background check on everyone. And I understand, like, you know, then when you're on such a higher scale, people will see it more and be like, oh, what the fuck, like that's not hardcore or whatever. So he was like, I'm not doing it. And I was chatting away to him when he got there, he was talking about it, and I was like, listen, you're not going to have that here, because they won't even make it in the front door. Do you know what I mean? Like they won't be welcomed. Do you know what I mean? So by the end of it, like in Belfast, I think he fucking the amount of pictures, he shaved his head again with the guy.
Oh yeah, 1980 was it?
Yeah, 1980. The actual guy that did it was there. It was cool. Like, this the whole. I could go on. I could make a full podcast about it.
And no, I was delighted. And like the minute I came in the door of Doan's, he was sitting down with Tall John.
Yeah,
and I had the book, his autobiography with me, and I was just going, will I, won't I? And he looks over and big smile straight away, and I says, fuck it, here I go. Said, hey Harley, and he trying to sign the book. Man, and he moves over for me to sit down alongside him. He's looking at a menu to order food, and I'm going, dude, Jesus, I'm not no, you're good. And I says, we traveled over to England to see you, and he was so gracious and so fucking nice, and couldn't do enough now, and wanted to continue this conversation. And I was just going, no, dude, order your food and I'll catch you later. It just fucked off going, oh, that's just class, you know. Yeah,
shout out to John as well for just even, it's great having promoters like John that like communication wise, he's onto you straight away. If you're trying to figure something out, it's very, you know, we'll figure this out together. We'll, you know, whatever needs to be done. I think it just goes without saying that I think John is John and Kieran as a team are by far our favorite to work with. Like anything, if they're involved in anything, we're kind of like, that's, if we're doing a tour or anything, that's the one that we don't have to worry about. Yeah. You know, because we know that they'll look after us, and they'll not treat us like we're fucking naive idiots. Yeah. So let's move down to Joe next. I mean, those pictures of Hellfest, jaw dropping. Oh my God, like, please give us an insight, because a lot of people don't know what happens when a band plays Hellside. So if you can, just give us an insight into getting over there and what kind of steps you had to go through to. We probably went exactly the same way you went, Danielle, like Ryanair into Nantes, and then I knew what flight you were on. My friends were texting me, being like, "Gamma Bomb are on the same flight." I can't believe they're flying by Ryanair. And they actually goes, those posh bastards are in priority. That's all coming out. Gotta get that 20 kg extra bag, like. But yeah, so just flew over on the early cheapy morning flight, and we got there the day before.
and we're hoping to kind of go to the festival on the Thursday, but half the camp didn't want to go. They all wanted to sit about. Or there's like a Hawaiian theme bar in Nantes, so everyone was like, let's go in there and get
probably the most gamma bomb thing I've ever heard.
Absolutely.
So we didn't get to
your
go
gear,
in.
Joe?
Huh?
How did that travel across your gear? Did you bring that with you?
We just travel with guitars. So like Hellfest is the kind of operation really where like, you know what, like Evan was saying about having your own drum kit or whatever can really make a difference, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But Hellfest is great about that sort of stuff, as in you can ask for the exact amps we have, and they'll get them for you, and same with drums and etc. So you can just turn up with your guitar and rock out. But so like it was a great day. We were only there for the Friday, the day that we were on. Got there, we've like reps with this guitar company in France called Vigeur.
Mm-hmm.
They make like kind of fancy guitars. So they were there, and like there was like a Ernie Ball stand, so they went and serviced all our guitars for free and sorted them out and restrung them and all that kind of soundness. And then we're hanging about in the wee artist area. The guys from Megadeth were there, so we were chatting to them and sat about in our wee house.
It's way too casual to throw that in.
But yeah, that was kind of it. Really, we just
Joe, stop it down. For fuck's sake, man!
Like, trying to be studious. Like we're trying to turn over a new leaf and not drink and stuff before going on these days. So there wasn't really an awful lot of crack. We were wandering about. There was no kind of good bands. Oh, I saw Blues Pill. They were on during the day. Yeah, they were really good. And then luckily for us, or unlucky for everyone else, it started lashing with rain at about 3:00, and we were playing the big inside hangar place or whatever. So
what's that, Danielle? What's the name of that? The War Zone, is it? Or
no, it's the Valley. I think you were in the Valley or the Temple. I think
Altar. I think is it?
On the altar. Yeah. There's three of them all together: the Valley, the Temple, and the Altar. Yeah.
Okay. So we're in there, and just it was lashing outside, so we managed to jam it out and stuff, and had a really good gig, no mistakes and stuff, and then went and started drinking.
And kind of approaching that gig, Joe, were you kind of any bit nervous, or were you just buzzing, or because as you said, you were kind of a bit more soberish than normal?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think it was everyone had been like practicing stuff a good bit during the day, and we'd done a gig the week before, and everyone felt really comfortable with the set and stuff. So doing the gig itself was actually pretty good. And, there's a lot of things that translate. It's easier doing Freddie Mercury stuff if you're Philly, if there's 10,000 people there. And it's kind of harder to do if there's like 60 people there. You have to do it anyway, either way.
What was sound on stage like at something like Hellfest? I'd say it was
really good. We wanted to bring our own engineer over and stuff, but we couldn't afford to. This is like, again, talk about travel, which we'll be doing later and stuff, is there's a huge squeeze on absolutely everyone, like, in terms of cash at the minute. So so it was the same for us. We couldn't afford to bring our own guy over, but like we had a long chat with the Monder guy before we went on the front house and stuff, and the sound was great on stage, and it was pretty good out front as well. So
and what type of set did you? 40 minutes, is it, or 30?
No, it 55. So it did. So but like we only really do like kind of about 40 minutes of songs, and then like, leave time for chatting and doing all that kind of stuff as well.
Rather than stress yourself with being
because that can
49 minutes of music
and a lecture in the middle being all like King versus Tito.
How was it like yourself playing the bass, looking out at all the crowds? Like, were you just fucking really delighted, or what
sometimes whenever you're playing bigger gigs like that, your setup changes in a way that you can't really remember. So my pedal was somewhere where it's usually not, so sometimes it can be a bit disorientating, or you're used to playing somewhere dark, so you can't see the LEDs on your pedal just as well, so it's going to be hard to tell if it's on or off and that sort of stuff. But the gig honestly went really good. Really happy to, like, we'd been there in 2009 and 2013 or whatever, and like the wee woman who runs the show these days over there, it was really, really nice. She came in and had a chat with us and just said, we'll bring you back at some stage,
That's unreal, man.
Class.
I got a horrible flashback when you said about not being able to see the LED on your pedal. I remember when I was like, Jesus, I must have been like 14 or something. I was playing guitar in a band, and it was like an outdoor kind of gig, like in a tent, and I was using one of those. Do you remember the Zoom, like the 7072 with like the red LED thing on it?
Yeah.
And I had so many different effects that I would go through mid song because I have this like in my eyes amazing multi effects pedal that is an absolute piece of shit, but I hadn't a clue what one it was on. I had to actually figure it out by going wrong. So like if it went into a heavier part, I could just go into something that had like completely reverbed out, and I was like, what fuck shit.
Oops.
Here's that now.
Did you see any bands then yourself after the performance, Joe?
Yeah, who did? We were clashing with Creator and Godflesh, so I didn't see any of them. Unfortunately, saw Alice Cooper, Nine Inch Nails, a bit of Ministry.
Unreal, yeah.
Alice Cooper, what was that like?
Alice Cooper was amazing, really, really good. For a guy I hadn't seen him in years, and he was much better than the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those guys, just kind of like he's sort of supposed to be playing a really old, kind of evil looking guy, and now he fits. He looks the middle, like,
He's grown into his persona.
It's like Bob Dylan always was going on like an old grumpy guy, and now he's an old grumpy guy. So it's like,
yeah, I'm watching a thing on YouTube actually. If you get a chance to watch it, it's called No Cover, and Alice Cooper's one of the.
That's a Sumerian Records thing.
Yeah, it's really, really entertaining. He is anyway. He is anyway. Your man Gavin Bush is a dick. There's a few others, but it's quite good, and I'm just genuinely shocked at how fresh Alice Cooper is in it, and you're just watching it for his reaction for each band and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Danielle, you made your drumming debut as well in Hellfest. Congratulations!
That was unreal.
I don't really remember that very clearly. It was afterwards. I just seen it and I was like, "Oh no!" Yeah, it's been a busy few months, all right, with gigs. There's been a lot going on.
What was the crack with that thing with the kit?
They were just selling sticks, and you could test them. And it was so funny, actually, because we were just going into the arena, and the guy that was running the stall just sat down to eat his lunch on the drum stool, and I came back and I was like, "Hey, can I play the drums?" And he literally goes, and I was like, "Oh no, I'll come back, it's fine." And he was like, "No, you can play."
Like a little sister or something, like you could play, like, go on.
Yeah.
The ending of that drum solo, wow, impressive.
It was sick. Yeah.
Pretty good.
I've talked to you about drums so much, but I'd never gotten to actually see you play.
None of us have.
What was it, like fucking 7 o'clock in the morning? We just get this message into the group chat, and I was like, what is this going to
be? Yeah, and it didn't even come from me. It came from Richie, and Richie, you got it through other sources. I don't even know.
I'm not going to name my sources. Needless to say, I just was going, oh my God, this is just class.
Yeah.
So how was the Hellfest for you, Danielle? I mean...
Fucking brilliant. Hot though. I was there the week before Joe was, so I wasn't there the same weekend as Gavin.
Oh, weren't you? Okay.
No, unfortunately. But I was there the weekend. It was like hit 44 degrees.
Wow.
So
that's intense, especially there. Like
it was intense. Like you couldn't go see bands during the day or anything really.
Really.
I couldn't anyway. Like you couldn't stand and watch a band in 44 degrees beating down on top of you. Like
people who were running the festival
in Ireland for an hour. How did you get away with like?
None of us got burnt because we were all going around spraying each other with factor 50. Like we were just like one of the lads fell asleep in the sun. I ran over and like sprayed him and just let him sleep, and we were looking after each other, kind of a thing. But yeah,
you could kind of go to the valley and alter and all those because they were covered. But then again, is it just as intense?
It's when everybody crowds in. Yeah, there was
stuffiness and everything as well. Like
yeah. It wasn't too bad. I didn't go look back at the bands I missed because I would be too sad if I looked back and be like, "Fuck it, I missed them."
That's always going to happen.
But I seen loads of bands anyway, and I was happy out. So
favorite few? Any ones to roll off the tongue?
Deftones were class. They were fucking brilliant. Korn were class. Who else now? Sepultura were unreal.
Yeah, you just have to see
them. They're really, really good live.
I keep telling people to watch them live.
Yeah.
Drummer played. He broke his leg recently. Eloy Casagrande broke his right leg. So I think for that gig, either he used his left foot on the left slave pedal, or it was one of the gigs that he had like very, very, very low tuned bass drum that he like used as if it was a floor tom.
Wow.
Instead, like he just mixed the two.
Cool.
Like
Jesus.
the ingenuity to be able to be like, I'm going to play these songs and just
improvise with what I have.
literally lose a limb and still be probably one of the best drummers at that entire festival. Like,
yeah. Gojira were fucking amazing.
Oh my God,
they headlined.
Wow.
So they completely, I think it was such a great idea to have them fill in for a headliner, just because they obviously had the crowd in their hands because they're French.
Yeah.
And they were well able for it. They really stood up to the plate.
They're at that success level now, to be fair.
They are, I think.
They are.
You know, you couldn't deny them a headline slot, really.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else that I've seen that was Rotten Chrysler Class. They're always brilliant. Red Fang.
Oh,
brilliant.
I love Red Fang.
Yeah.
Did they get a main stage slot now, or are they still in the Valley?
No, they were in the Valley.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd rather see them there, being truthful.
Yeah, I've seen them on main stage at Hellfest before, and I think the Valley suits them better. That kind of atmosphere. Mastodon were there, and I thought they would have been better suited to like the Valley or somewhere like that. They were on main stage, and they played like a lot of new songs. Like everyone thought they were brilliant, and they were no fantastic, but just I didn't think their set list flowed well for a festival. It was all new stuff.
Shit. Yeah, that's
which
the
I
problem,
thought,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, so you're trying to promote that, I guess. Like you're kind of.
That's it. Like
new album comes out. That's what everyone wants the hits, but you know, you got to make them hits.
Yeah, exactly.
And did you kind of get to see Fate No More?
Fate No More weren't there. They pulled out.
What? Really?
He pulled out of their whole European tour because Mike Patton.
His voice.
He's kind of having mental illness. Yeah. He's kind of going through some stuff. That was a good while ago. That was about maybe 9 months ago. So I was sickened that they pulled out, but it was Gojira filled in. Or they were already on the bill, but they were brought up to headliner. Deftones, though, Jesus, they didn't pull a big crowd for headliner.
What?
No.
Well, it's only really like because Steph, he stayed at home. He's not ready to travel, COVID wise, and whatever other conspiracy stuff he has.
Yeah.
And then they have a fill-in bassist because of all the thing with Sergio. Like they were like, he was never technically a full-time member. And he was just like, no, look here, this is bollocks. So it was only really Frank, Abe and Chino, like the actual
main band.
Deftones. Yeah.
Did you get to see Perturbator?
No, Perturbator were on. They were on before Gojira. Yeah, they were on before Gojira and after Korn, and they we were right at the main stage, and to get there and to get back, we wouldn't have made it back in time for Gojira.
Yeah.
So we just said we'd stay where we were. I don't think we were in a fit state to move anyway. So yeah. Joe, I wanted to know about you played in 2013 and you played now. What kind of was the difference between like have you seen a mad progression or
actually the out the front part of it is 99% the same. So it is.
Yeah. It is.
They still have the two big stages and then the two big hangars beside them. But yeah, like the backstage area used to be kind of a lot more. There would be little bars and like kind of gardens and stuff you could hang around in, and it's not like that at all anymore. It's just one kind of big street with like porta cabins the whole way up it, and there'll be like bands' dressing rooms or production offices, and then there's like a big kind of 4-story kind of rise kind of thing, and that's where like the bar and the food place is. But yeah, like it's so huge now. I think back then it was probably maybe about 70,000 people or 60,000 people, and now it's like.
Is this the biggest festival in Europe? It must be.
Well, it and Wacken
No.
kind of,
Wacken would be running it close.
I think the thing is that Wacken doesn't have the same capacity at a main stage. I don't think, I think the main stage at Hellfest is bigger. So
Hellfest is like what as well now? It's with like there's like what 3 days or 4 days in between the two things, isn't there?
Yeah, that was just
this is 1 year.
Though. That was just a one.
That was just one, and it was their 15th year of it, so they won't. I don't know if they'll do it again.
Because that's like if anyone did the entire thing and stay, that's like money wise, that's insane.
Yeah.
I know loads of people that did it, and the first night we were in Nantes. I don't know. Do you know a guy called Wes Ritchie? He's fucking a legend. The lads knew him anyway. He's living abroad, so. We met him in Nantes, and himself and his friend were going to go camping. This is the Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
We were staying in a hotel that night.
Yeah.
And himself and his friend were like, yeah, we're camping for the full 12 days.
Oh.
I was like, what?
Oh.
And he was like, yeah. But anyway, we ended up like, myself and some of the lads that went over, ended up drinking with them. And they ended up staying on our hotel floor that night, like, because they missed the last train.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did the full...
Wow!
Whole thing, like.
No, Connor didn't. Shout out to Connor as well. I think he went out and then flew back and then flew out again.
He wasn't camping either.
The amount of cans, like I'm just thinking of going to like Knockenstocken and stuff. It's like 3 days worth of cans. I'm like going in with 12 days. I'm presuming there's like a.
There's a big Lidl and like a big
Lidl,
supermarket.
There's a huge, it's the Shark. It's like, it's almost like a Walmart.
And they're unbelievably sound about like, if you're camping there and stuff like that. I don't think you can bring glass in, but you're allowed to bring your own booze into the arena.
No, you can bring in glass.
Sort of stuff,
not into the arena, yeah, but you can bring glass.
What were you drinking over there, Danielle? And how much was it?
Blood.
I kind of had a mixture. Do you know, sometimes like when you drink something and just the first night just turns your stomach a bit. I drank a bottle of Malibu the first day, and I think it was like €9 or something. Then the next day I was like, okay, I'll try something else, and I got like a bottle of mojito mix, and it was septic. I couldn't drink it, and I got a bottle of wine, and I drank that. The lads were all getting bags of wine. So like the wine,
of course, yeah.
The wine ranged from like $2.50. It ranged from like $2.50 to like €10 or something like that.
The wine is so cheap.
It had like boxes of red and rosé wine for £4. Look,
yeah,
for like 3 liters. People getting smashed out of their mind.
Like in that heat, I feel like it just turned back into a fucking grape.
Yeah, like you wake up in the morning and the lads would have their bags of wine around the place, and you just pick one up and just tip on.
Chug away, yeah.
Chug away. Yeah.
It's the only festival I was ever at where I was just constantly getting pissed off my head drinking wine.
Yeah. I went back to the good old trusty vodka though by the end of it. It does let me down. But inside there, the pints were like about 6 something for a pint.
Not too bad for a festival. Like
you can get a pitcher for like, is it €16?
Yeah. And then somebody, all it takes is one guy to hit off and your fucking half of it is gone.
Yeah.
And it's warm then in like fucking 20 minutes with that temperature.
Yeah.
Drinking cider at festivals. Oh, I made some bad mistakes in the past. Like
It was Bulmers.
Yeah, I was going Druids back then, like,
Yeah.
It came up like there was, there's no bits in Druids, but it definitely felt like after a while it was like orange juice with bits in it. That just got hammered.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, look, that's great that everybody managed to get to see what they wanted to see over in Hellfest, and I got to see Worn Out and Cro-Mags in Limerick. And the Cryptodrift is coming up soon, and I'll be meeting up with Joe for that.
That sounds fucking class.
Yeah, just love it.
Sickened, yeah, sickened.
Absolutely gutted, but what can we do?
I got to see them in Galway.
They were amazing in Galway.
In Galway, they were, they were really good.
Kelvin as well, he nailed it.
He did, yeah, it was fucking class. One gig I have to shout out that I've been to a few. So I was at MGLA in Dolan's, and that was brilliant, packed. But I seen Conan in Dolan's, and it was fucking unreal.
Yeah.
Absolutely deadly. Elder Druid, Grief Eater, and Third Island supporting them.
Oh, I was away on holidays for that. My God, what a lineup.
Fucking brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely savage. So I just wanted to shout out Bad Rip there. That was one of the best gigs I've been at.
Was it well attended?
There was, I thought there'd be more, but MGLA was the weekend before, so maybe that took from it. I'm not sure. They deserved a bigger crowd but it was still
the main stage.
Yep, it was in the warehouse. Yeah. But it was absolutely brilliant.
It's kind of the same with Cro-Mags. Disappointing enough crowd, like.
Was
really?
it a Thursday or something, Cro-Mags, or was it a Friday?
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure the exact. Like, it wasn't, empty or anything.
No, far from it. It was like it's a 3/4 full, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it's like you kind of expect to be like, well, come on, it's Cro-Mags. Like, it should be absolutely.
I thought
exactly.
It'd be full.
Fuck's sake, so did I. Jesus, weird.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, that's one before because he played Frost and Furland, Joe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
How'd that go?
Yeah, it was great. Great old crack. Definitely like more of a, kind of black cord flares and cord jacket type rocker. Evening lads with wispy beards. But it was grand. Like it was us and Night Demon supporting Brian Downey from Thin Lizzy. And he was fucking unbelievably class. Like really good.
Never got to see them.
They'll probably be around. Like, I know he's touring around the country and stuff, but man, for a guy who's like 73 or 4, he's massively on top of the game. Like, really, really good.
And the guy that was singing as Phil in it, good, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Looked like Phil, sounded like Phil. That's like really cool. Had really class platforms and flares on as well. So,
thank God,
cool.
Fashion plus. But yeah, so I think like it was definitely very ambitious of Jarvis putting it on up there, because it is like it'd be like doing something like that in Cork. You would hope for a really good turnout, but like you'd be by no means guaranteed one.
Mm-hmm.
So the day that we were there was probably about 80 or 90 people there. So like that was pretty good. And then the next day I think they had maybe like about 130 or 40. They had some people coming up from Dublin to go and see Midnight and whatever else was on that day,
Yeah, still. And what about the venue itself, Joe?
Yeah, it's an amazing venue.
Excellent.
Yeah, really, really, really good. As I said, it's one of those kind of gigs like where you're doing a support slot like that. You're playing to people who aren't, generally your fans, so they're not going to be going totally nuts. It was a lot of people with their arms folded, checking you out to see if they like you or not,
Yeah.
But yeah, like we won people over and had a great old crack. Got absolutely smashed afterwards, hanging about listening to Thin Lizzy. So
of course, man. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So, in your own opinion, do you think there'll be a Frost and Furland 2023?
Yeah, I'd say they will. Because I think a lot of it is to do with they thought that because Maiden was the same week that there would be tons and tons of people coming to Ireland for Maiden.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, what we're talking about, people have no money. So I think if they had of like Midnight and Night Demon were definitely a big draw, and drawing people up for the second day of it. But they'd probably need to think about trying to get, I don't know, I'm not even sure what kind of band you want. Like maybe someone like Saxon headlining, then you're definitely guaranteed to get like 400 or 500 people there,
Or Green Lung, maybe.
Well, I don't know. Like I think they're a totally class band, but I don't know if they would necessarily be able to just come to Ireland for the first time and, play for that many people. Actually, no, they played at the Siege, did they, last year? Or?
No,
they were supposed to play. Fine, yeah.
So
hopefully, fingers crossed, there'll be a second for Frost and Furland, and it won't be in Greece.
Definitely, man. Yeah,
I think part of the problem with it kind of as well is that they're so focused on like old school sounding bands and stuff like that they mightn't think generally of someone like Green Lung or Worn Out or the kind of bands that you're putting on down in Cork, who definitely draw loads of people.
Yeah.
They're kind of more relying on older people or people who are getting into old school music, And
they're relying on people probably to travel from England to go across to it and come up from Dublin as well.
Yeah. And like people are arsey about that, like you would get the way occasionally what you'll get is a band will come and play Belfast and Limerick or something, and they'll not come to Dublin. And people from Dublin are the worst for just being all like, I'm not traveling, why should I? Whenever everything comes here,
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So I think we've done the last section of the show at the first section. But anyway, it's all good. We have 4 songs to review, or just even to talk about and shout out. The first band is Asylum Road, and they're actually from Derry. So it's Darren Walsh, Ryan Campbell, Dylan Kelly, Aaron McDade, and Ronan Gallagher. So Dylan said about the band started at a house party when me and the former vocalist at the time started talking about how we used to play music together and should get back at it. He mentioned he knew a bass player called Darren, and I asked Ryan and Ron to join me from there. Things didn't work out, unfortunately, with the vocalist, and I contacted Darren, as I said, as he had recently asked me to start a project with him. The band members clicked immediately and brought many different musical backgrounds and inspirations to the band, allowing for a very diverse approach to creating music. There's a lot of influences from different artists within the band, from classic bands like Black Sabbath, Death, and Pantera to more modern bands like Tesseract, Bring Me the Horizon, and Architects. It's a nice mix of new and old. So the album is called Changing of the Tide. It's not out yet. And this is the song from the title of the album. There's 2 other singles out called Blind Eye Genocide and Circling the Drain. I think he had a song called Circling.
We have a song called Blind Eye, and we have a song called Circle the Drain.
It's really worn out.
It's actually, yeah.
So here it is, Changing of the Tide. Okay, so that's Asylum Road. The track is Changing of the Tide. Joe, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely seems like their first demo. But really surprisingly kind of tight bass and guitar playing, and the production sound on the bass and guitar is killer. It really sounds beyond first demo kind of sounding. The drums do sound very programmed. I wouldn't be surprised if they were just completely triggered or programmed or whatever, because it sounds very repetitive and cut and pasty in places, They do
have a drummer like Ronan.
Yep.
Right.
I could be wrong about that. Maybe they did, and it's just been mixed to sound that way. But it does. It sounds very programmed or triggered.
I like the vocalist actually.
The vocals. I thought were there's a lot of personality in it, but again, it's the guitars and the bass sounded so kind of advanced, as in the sort of thing you would hear on a modern record. Whereas the drums or drum arrangements and stuff, and the vocals definitely made it seem more like a demo, you know.
Yeah.
But there's lots of personality there in the vocals and stuff, and I think it's brilliant seeing bands popping up in places like Derry doing this, because like the last sort of even alternative-ish metal band that I would have known from there would have been the Evangelists, and that's a long time ago.
Oh, Jesus! Okay.
So it'd be great to see more stuff from these guys, and keep it up.
Yeah, as I said, the album isn't out yet, but Danielle.
I thought the opening riff reminded me of Avenged Sevenfold, which I thought was cool. I think there's a lot of potential in this band, but I think that I kind of felt listening to that the vocals were really good, but they just weren't mixed right with the guitar and bass. Like they just weren't on the same level. Like they were just a bit too raw compared to the guitar bass. But no, I think it's for first demo. It's really, really good. And I think I listened to their other song as well as a Blind Eye Genocide.
Yeah.
And I think some of their stuff is kind of a bit generic, and I think they have the ability to be a bit more unique. So I'd like to see where they go for next record. But it's really good.
You can kind of hear the influences, all right, especially kind of Pantera.
Yeah. But it's a really good entry point. Jeez, yeah. But definitely feed into their kind of uniqueness a bit more.
Yeah. Okay. Ev, same.
Yeah. I would echo a lot of that. I think there's a kind of like a Machine Head vibe to it. Like as Joe was saying earlier, like with production on a lot of stuff, like there's kind of a push and pull that some parts work together. Again, the drums, either they're programmed or played in electric kit or it's triggered. But I think my main thing listening to it is that like there is a lot of potential, and there's just something that I find younger bands, when I say younger band, it doesn't matter their actual age, but like, you know, new bands starting out now is they want to almost jump to an album. Yeah. Where I feel like because you can hear there's a lot of songwriting capabilities in there. If they focused on maybe a 4-track EP or do a single, and all the time that they would have done on an album, condense that down into one thing, get that absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and then spot on. I agree.
You know, and as your sound naturally grows, time will tell you when you're to do an album, instead of, because I feel like I haven't listened to any of the other songs now, but I feel like it could be a thing of like, this is just what we have right now at the start. You know, like I feel like they're above demo quality, but it's lower than anything that should be considered an album. But there's a lot of potential in that for the very start.
Okay, cool. Okay, we move on to the second song, Pure Sonic Outcasts. The song is Mudlarker. Shout out to Steve, my pal on guitars, Martin as the guitar vocalist, Luke on bass, and Graham on drums. The lads play a fuzzed out, distorted, slow, sometimes fast, and always heavy and aggressive form of metal. Strong harmonies, lyrics, and riffs make this band the must to listen to for fans of heavy stoner doom, metal, punk, and hardcore like. The new release is Endless Contemplation. It's an EP, and it's released through King Size Records. Josh did the production on it, and Wayne did a lot of work with the lads on videos and pictures. So if you're a fan of sludge or doomerang, slower and dingy, definitely check out Pure Sonic Outcasts. I deliberately picked this song. It's an instrumental because, I mean, it's just different in relation to the other songs. And as I said, it's called Mudlarker. clip of Pure Sonic Outcasts. You can see that they wear their influences there on a sleeve. Joe?
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised by this. I don't know. I thought they were going to be a very different sounding band. I didn't think that they would have that kind of Sabbathy, doomy vibe at all. Really liked the artwork and production seemed very organic.
Beautiful,
you know, like it seemed very like made here. You know, didn't have that kind of, you know, go and get something done online. It seemed like a local artist or someone that the band knew, and the same with the kind of mix and stuff. It's hard to tell sometimes with the instrumental things like that, because as much as it is an instrumental track, it's also like one of those kind of ploddy. It could nearly be like the intro or outro to a song, you know. Usually for instrumentals, you expect some form of the tune to go somewhere and do something that it doesn't really do that. There's like a Sodom song called Procession to Golgotha, and it reminded me really of that.
Actually, there you go,
But obviously in that kind of like Sabbathy, Conan-y vibe, you know. So, but if that's the path they're going down, like I think it's great to see that kind of thing happening, because Richie, you would remember back in the late 90s, Bill Steer had a band called Firebird who were doing kind of 70s stuff like that, and it got very much ignored, you know, like that kind of died to death. So that kind of stuff's coming back around, then more part of them, and you know, it's one of those kind of the cult kind of names, isn't it? So good on them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it is very different to their other stuff. And I just thought, I'll just throw that in and see what you thought of it, Danielle.
I thought it would have been the band that picked the song, and I was going to say, why did they give us this song? I'd much prefer their other stuff. But no, it's you I have to give out to, so Richie.
Okay, fair enough.
No, it is good, and I think it's a grower of a song as well. You kind of get into it more the more you listen to it. But I really like their other stuff as well. Really, really cool.
They're kind of punky as well, and
really punchy snare.
Yeah.
Evan, did you think?
It's tuned a little lower than what I have mine, like tuned arrogantly high. But for that, it sits perfectly in the mix. Like,
it's cool. Thumbs up.
So this is their second EP, So they released the first EP, Reflections of This Present Condition, in 2020. They have 2 singles out. This is the second EP, and again, I'm a massive fan of them. I haven't seen them live yet, and they're really active as a band in relation to
very much
promoting themselves, doing online gigs. So, as I said, they're from Belfast. Keep an eye out from Evan. Did you?
Yeah, like, see, with this song, I think you fucked them over.
See, I love picking curveballs. You know what I mean?
Like, I get that.
Love ruining the band's reputation.
My thing is, like, I've heard some of their other stuff that they've put out, and it does have that like punkier kind of like fuzzy hardcore almost.
It is, that's fair enough. Yeah.
So, like, hearing this, I feel like this was intended to be an almost interlude. So I can nearly guarantee, not that they don't like the song, but they're like, why did you pick that one? Like, I remember the one, like the first time that I heard them, I saw their name come up a good bit.
I'm always plugging them.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, they're very active. They know, like, you know, they're gigging a lot, and they're definitely someone that I want to see live. I always, probably just an ignorant thing on my part, but when I saw the name Pure Sonic Outcasts, I thought they were like a very young band. I don't know why, just because of the name. But then when I listened to them, I was very surprised. I don't know what it is about the name, but I just thought they were like really young. But the kind of trashier, more punky sound that they have, I think, is great.
Yeah.
With this, it's a great track, but I think it's probably meant to be in the context of the EP itself rather than a standalone thing.
Oh, yeah, they were never going to release that as a single, but as I said...
Yeah, so we might as well review it so everyone can fucking hear what they don't intend to be heard on its own. Like,
Okay, so we'll move on to Rope Scalex.
Rope Scaletrics.
Nah, I thought it was Scaletrics as well, having the old Scaletrics when I was young. So Rope Scalex. It's a solo project by Dan Clark, exploring themes like science fiction, space, horror, Mechanized Infantry combines the best elements of thrash with brutally heavy death metal to create an adrenaline-pumping record guaranteed to everybody on the edge of their seat. So he's very prolific now. Like, he's got 2 albums, 5 EPs, and 3 singles since 2019.
Jesus fucking
busy during lockdown.
Yeah, so Mechanized Infantry is a single, and it also contains another 2 tracks as well on the CD called Orbital Cannon and Auto Security Laser Dissection, all for the princely sum of £2 on Bandcamp. And as I said, Dan Clark, he's from Belfast. So. Al from Ministry should be recruiting him, Joe, I reckon, as a guitarist.
Comment.
Go on, talk to me about it.
Me?
Joe. Yeah, Mechanized Infantry.
I didn't like this really, so I didn't. Okay. There were elements of it I thought maybe, Danielle, you might agree, this kind of sounded a bit like Static X or something, or like Cold Chamber in places or something like that.
Yeah.
So, like, I think if this was like 1997 or something,
there's a big 90s vibe off that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now what I thought the artwork and the design and stuff looked really cool. And like, whenever I saw that, I was expecting to hear something kind of different. But it seems like a one-man job, like, you know.
Which it is.
Yeah. So, like, you know, whatever about the production on the drums and the guitars and all that sort of stuff, or, you know, be they real or be they mechanized themselves, like, you know. But, like, I don't know. The singing didn't sound great or very inspired. It sounded kind of distorted, and like in some places, like in that Ministry thing, it can sound really cool like that. But it sounded here like there was a bit of a lack of confidence in the singing, you know.
It definitely wasn't deliberately made that way.
I don't know. Like he can, I'm sure, tell us himself. Like, if the guy's done a couple of albums and a couple of EPs and stuff, he obviously has a style that he is settled with.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of.
If I'm coming in at a 10 that musically it doesn't really appeal to me, maybe like Danielle, if people who are more into new metal mightn't have as much of a grievance with the singing as I do, you know.
Yeah, fair enough. Danielle?
Yeah, I think, like, when I heard it, I thought, this is raw. It's unapologetically what it is. It's not trying to be something different, which I liked that about it. And for a one-man project, I think, you know, I think it's good. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of, it can go a lot of places, but I think he knows exactly what he's trying to get out of it, and I think he's getting that.
Yeah. I totally enjoyed it. Now, when I was driving in the car, I had it on in the car, and it was just like fucking class, you know, just
Yeah.
nice riffage. He understands what a good riff is.
Yeah.
You know, and nice combination. But again, I think I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here. 2 albums and 5 EPs. I think he's settled on that sound, and that's the style he wants to progress with. But I don't know. Ev?
It definitely reminded me of like early 2000s kind of like almost action horror movie part where the hero is walking into where the vampire like, but it's actually a fucking like vampire sex club, and this song is playing when he walks in. There's people on
chains. What about Blade, Evan?
Yeah, pretty much like Blade, but it was like what Joe was saying about like the new metal thing. I think it's like the offcuts of new metal that don't translate now anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's interesting. Like, yeah,
the overly rhythmical. It was that thing of like, not to downplay his playing or anything like that. Things don't have to be technical or anything like that. But it was that time where people discovered drop tuning, and it wasn't about like, it was just more about like a rhythm up between one note and open, and you can hear he's kind of matching it with the vocals as well. Like I don't think it wasn't for me. There will be people that absolutely love that, but I feel like it was just, I don't want to call it immature either, but I guess I am calling it, like there's an immaturity to it. I feel like I don't know, it didn't, even songwriting and stuff wise, like it was just very, like it probably didn't take long to put everything together. I hate to sound like an asshole, but that's his thing, and fair play to him, because as you were saying, he definitely has his style. I just feel like it's like, because there's a lot of like a new metal resurgence. Things go in 20 years, like whatever was cool to go 20 years ago is probably making its way back. And it is in a lot of modern stuff, but that aspect to it is gone. There's other aspects that have come back, like the stronger things. And I just feel like that kind of sound was the weaker part that people pretend they didn't like when they were 10, but probably did, whereas I didn't.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Last band is Unmaker from Dublin. There's 2 singles out already, Control and Limb from Limb. You can check them out on Spotify. The members are Aaron on vocals, Sean on guitar, Spencer on bass, and Jake on drums. So this track was mixed and mastered by Tracks Mix Recording Studio, which is Michael Richards, as we all know. They've had a few gigs under their belt. They did well in Metal to the Masses, a few support shows as well. They're having their own headline show in Fibber McGee's on July the 2nd with Organ Blender of War and War of Attrition. So this track is called To War. or the production shines through there straight away, Joe?
Yep, pretty killer production, killer mix and stuff. Like sometimes the only thing I'd say about some of the down tuned chuggy stuff like this is that like a lot of the times you're tuning the guitars down and they're henceforth going to sound muddier, and then they go for like a super bright kind of fizzy angle type sound, you know. And like I think it can sound I don't know, it can kind of take something away from the drums sometimes, because in that specifically, like even though I thought it sounded great production wise, the mix was a wee bit the drums and the guitars were way too low in the mix. Like the vocals were much too high in the mix, and the drums didn't really seem to have a lot of oof behind them, you know. They were very I know, very modern sounding, and like I think a lot of people would really like that. But you always kind of sort of think to say, who are the fans that this band are going to be trying to get? Are they trying to please people who like Lamb of God or Creator or both or what, you know? So like it's a very, very modern sound, and I could see that sort of thing doing well. It's just it's not really a niche sort of market, so it's very, very difficult to try and get yourself over to, you know, FM radio one kind of metal fans, you know.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely in the same league as Psychosis and Saint Slaughter straight away there with that.
Yeah, I think the thing is that Saint Slaughter and Psychosis to some extent have a bit of a captive audience, because all the Denim Jacket Brigade who like 80s bands are going to immediately like those bands because they sound 80s, you know. Whereas like trying to appeal like a big band like Lamb of God or Mastodon, or, you know, someone who have fast bits in their songs and down-tuned chugging like these guys, they're so popular that it's very hard to cast the net that wide, you know, which is something we've talked about a bit before in this. But I think they sound really pro. But like my main hang up with it would probably be the vocals, and I think that sometimes it can just sound a little bit like every other shouty singer, you know. And there probably is a way of doing that and getting a bit of the accent across as well, like, you know.
Yeah,
because like in some ways, like Fontaine's DC and stuff are quite shouty band, but you can definitely hear, you know, a bit of where they're from in it, can't you?
Yeah, maybe so. It's kind of too polished.
Yeah, maybe, but like that's not to take away anything from the lads playing or you know the mixer production or whatever, because obviously those are just personal choices, you know.
Yeah, so I think it's a really good song as well. The song itself is pretty catchy. Danielle?
It was super fun. I had great fun listening to it. My only grievance with it was the go at the start. That was my only grievance, really. It kind of reminded me, not so much vocals, but kind of reminded me of early Bullet for My Valentine kind of vibes in there. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I suppose that's the question, like what kind of an audience are they going for? I think it sounds like a good band that I would have come across like with Free CD with Metal Hammer back in 2006.
Yeah.
And thought, Jesus, these are really good. So I suppose you don't really always have to think of who's my audience. They obviously have an audience. They made it to the final, didn't they, of Metal to the Masses?
They did, yeah.
So they obviously have their audience. I suppose, yeah, I think I'd like to see them live, actually. I think they'd be really fun.
As far as I know, actually, it's an album that's coming out by them as well.
Is it?
So, yeah. Ev?
Yeah, I really like these guys. I think they're one of those bands that they capitalized well on the push that they got from Metal to the Masses, that, you know, instead of doing that competition and then not winning and just kind of
sitting back and waiting
for the next thing, they do seem to be pushing it, and I admire that a lot. I know some of the guys were in a band, I can't remember the fucking name. I know Mikey from Pain and Vain, shout out Mikey. Yeah. He was the vocalist, but they did have that like kind of that metalcore, like early 2000s metalcore vibe. So I can see, Danielle, where you're getting that, you know, like the Bullet for My Valentine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually just really excited to see what these lads can do. I think like over the years as well, their songwriting and playing will only get better. They have that, like, it's like they want to be a metalcore band, but also there's a level of thrash to it as well.
Absolutely.
So
definitely.
I think there's a lot that they can do, like production wise and stuff. Yeah, great. You know, it's a lot of it mightn't be my exact thing that I want, but at the end of the day, they're a young band now that I'm happy to see are, you know, taking advantage of a push that they might have got with the Metal to the Masses, and they're capitalizing on it. And I hope they get bigger and bigger, you know, because they seem to want to do it, and that's always great to see, because a lot of bands will do that Metal to the Masses thing and then you don't hear about them, because it's like if you lose, it's like there isn't really a loser in those competitions, because like I think Oren said it as well in the past. It's like you really don't lose because the amount of people that you play to, and I think they've kind of.
I think Oren did the artwork for him as well, so that was a clever move.
Yeah, I think Oren's doing PR for them, or I know I've seen him post stuff about him, but you know, like straight away there's contacts he can make and stuff.
And the fact that they're from Dublin, they'll definitely get plenty of gigs to play around Dublin and probably outside of Dublin as well. So keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on them.
Definitely.
And the fact that we're on about Dublin, the main kind of topic of tonight is really about bands and fans traveling around the country to see gigs, the positive and negatives, the expenses. It's definitely coming to the fore on a lot of the news channels lately as well, in relation to going up to Dublin, particularly to see a gig, in what hotels are charging. It's fucking absolutely obscene. A lot of people now are just driving up and fucking driving back down. I don't know what the situation is with it in Belfast. Joe, you might be able to give us an insight into the punter going up to see, we'll say, Iron Maiden in Belfast. What do they expect to pay in relation to hotels? Maybe you might be able to give us an insight to that, but it's certainly a worrying aspect for the metal community in general, that they're expected to pay out fucking serious money in relation to trains up. If you're not from Dublin, which is obviously the main, like, for example, Green Day played in Dublin, and we have Guns N' Roses as well. How much is that going to cost the punter to go and see him if they're not from Dublin? So
one of my friends was at the Eagles on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I think it was $290 for a double room in Dublin.
Fuck.
And that was going on there, like, you know,
that was cheap.
Skyscanner, and then looking on hotels and just seeing what was available, and that was the cheapest that you could get was $290 a night. You know.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, like and you know what, like there was a long time where there was very little transport around, and like, you know, obviously back in the drink driving days, lads were just getting into cars and going to Athlone to go and see Thin Lizzy, and then driving back to wherever. Look, but yeah, like about 10 years ago, they started doing the all-night buses between Belfast and Dublin and Cork and stuff like that. So theoretically, if you were in Cork and you wanted to go and see whoever was like Soundgarden, you could get the bus up, go to the gig, and then get a bus back to Cork at like 2 a.m. And they've stopped doing all that since COVID, look, you know. So,
well, they still do the Cork to Dublin. It's like
the air coach, probably.
The air coach, yeah. Like I'm going up to see Gatecreeper on the 8th of July with Baylor and Fraught. I'm going up with Jack, but
it's just that one, isn't it? Like it's the same. Yeah, there's one going from Belfast or from Dublin to Belfast, stopping in Newry, but it leaves at like 1 o'clock. Whereas for years there was one at like 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock and et cetera, you know.
We've missed the last bus.
You're doing
before.
Also, the last time we played in Dublin, we were like, they changed where the air coach is. It's like down the way. And this, like leading up to this gig, like we had our van, everything. That's a whole other story with how much that shit costs. We ended up having to just bring our breakables on a bus just so we didn't have to cancel the gig.
When was this now? You've been lost there. Sorry.
Fibber. This was in Fibbers. When the fuck did we play?
This year.
Yeah. Yeah. When we played Fibbers there not too long ago.
Yeah.
But
that was for the Waste EP launch.
Yeah. And so like, you know, we were sitting waiting with all our gear and our like merch, like boxes of merch and everything. And the bus, like, you know, where it usually would stop just at the corner, like just fucking kept going. And I mean, my heart just, because it was either that, like, or right, we're just stuck in Dublin, but we sprinted the whole way down. And your man came out and was like, I presume you didn't know it would changed, because they had changed where the bus stopped during COVID, when there was nobody going to Dublin and there was no real, it still says Ashton Key. That's the thing. So when you look at it being like Ashton Key, that's grand. It's in the same place. So your man was
that happened to me one night as well. Like it was like 4:00 in the morning and I was standing there and the bus had changed from going around the corner. Yeah. And like it literally drove away and I was like, right, okay, I'm going to have to wait for the like 7:00 in the morning bus. I was down in Dublin doing some recording and had my laptop. So I went into the bus centre and like stuck on a movie, like, and fell asleep in like the seat. And I woke up surrounded by tramps watching Kelly's Heroes on my laptop. And like 2 buses had gone. It was like 9:00 in the morning. Like... But like, no, it is like, I think there's a grimness about the transport situation like that, where you're just like,
yeah, I think like going up to Dublin for a gig, like if you just want to, like from Cork, I can only really say from Cork, but if you want to go up just for the gig and come home, it's possible. My main thing is I would rather, if there's a Limerick date on it, that's where I actually would rather go. Yeah. I just like going to gigs in Limerick more, but
we all do now at this stage. Yeah, it's fair to say.
Then there's the issue of there is no late bus back to Cork. So you're either like trying to find a couch to crash on, which like,
mine.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like people have been so good to me and like to the lads in the band and stuff, like on, you know, offering place to stay. But there could be a time that you're like, you know, that whole thing of like, fuck it, I'll go to see whoever play in Limerick. But it's like, you have to be like, right, if I can't get,
you have to have it organized.
You have to have it organized.
There's none of this shit now where you just drive up on or get a bus up randomly. Hoping.
I was even trying to book a bus Dublin, to go down to the airport for Hellfest.
Yeah,
just because with the price of gas and stuff like that, like it cost me 30 quid in gas going up and down the road, and then like 30 or 40 quid for parking. Like whereas the bus is dead cheap, but Harry Styles or whatever was playing in Dublin.
Yeah,
I couldn't get tickets. But so the bus was completely sold out. So I just had to drive down at like X o'clock in the morning anyway. Like, so it was a mirror.
But I mean, I'm driving up to Belfast now to see Crypt of the Riff, and
that's Friday.
Yeah, and that's 4 hours, 20-minute drive. Joe, you know the drive well. You've come down to me a few times as well. So
yep.
I was pricing hotels for that, and it was very expensive.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
We got an Airbnb for Belfast on Saturday, but thank God we had Sean from Arjuna's Eye driving.
Shout out to Sean.
Absolute legend.
Next time, man, if I'm home, come and stay here at the gaff. Like,
of course, yeah.
Man.
Like,
I'll give you beans.
For us to be able to afford it, or you know, we had to go 25 minutes outside. So, like in East Belfast, in an Airbnb, like there was just no way that we were going to be able to do it in a hotel, because when you're coming up with gear, like if you're in a splitter van or something, like petrol to go up and back,
astronomical.
It's fucking insane. We're talking like.
We're talking about
160 something.
Yeah.
That's what we ended up. And like, it's that thing as well, like with bands, is people, I don't think, understand in the last couple of months with petrol, how much that has completely fucked.
Some bigger bands out there, like I know Jarvis was saying on the Midnight Tour, that they were messaging promoters saying, okay, sorry to have to do this, but you're going to have to put money in towards the band's gas here because it's got so absolutely ridiculous. And Alan from Primordial was saying as well, you know, they were running the tour bus, you know, with a couple of bands in it, and they said that it was like eating 400 or 500 quid's worth of gas a day, you know.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Like, you know, so
like
it's crazy, like, you know.
We drove from Inverness to Leeds, and that's like 7 hours.
Oh my God, you did, yeah.
Yeah, and it's cost us less than it did here to get from Cork to Belfast.
What?
Yeah.
Well, is it cheaper up in the UK, obviously?
Yeah,
Well,
it
couple
absolutely
of months
definitely
ago as
was
well.
anyway, because we were like, when we were going over, we were like, right, look, we're not going to financially, this isn't going to be the biggest profit that we're ever going to make, but we had like in our head planned everything like prices wise over here, and it's definitely not
So
as bad there now.
you need to explain that a bit better, Ev. So you got to Scotland, was it? How did you get across? Did you bring the bus with you or a minibus?
No, we flew over and then we rented a car.
A hatchback or
or something. Like we weren't bringing all of our gear.
Okay.
But this is the thing, like when you're comparing it to if we're in Ireland, chances are we're bringing all of our backline and you're doing it in a van, and that's just gonna like
So who drove the estate in the UK for you then?
Lloyd. I think you met Lloyd before. He's one of my best mates.
Yeah, fair enough.
Came over, he did the whole, and like the thing is, we pay him a daily rate as well. Do you know what I mean? Because it's one of those things that if people are, it's like none of us drive, so this is like an extra. Like this is why we rely on merch and everything so heavily. Yeah. Like, I know people say it all the time that, it's great when you buy like Irish bands merch, but like I still feel like people don't understand how much it can help. That if you go up to a band after their set, chat to them, buy a t-shirt, like 3 or 4 people buy a t-shirt, you like that could literally get them home. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That can actually bring them back home and have it come out that you're making a profit, or like, some bands might not make much of a profit at all. And it really comes down to how smart you are with the band.
Are people still under the impression that fucking the money that bands make through merch goes straight to the band members' pockets? Like, are they that disillusioned?
In the best case scenario, it's a third, really, isn't it? It's like you're gonna have to pay like a third for like getting the shirt made, and then a third probably for getting it shipped or whatever. But and this is unbelievable. Somebody told me last week that Kiss were playing in Hamburg in like this 10,000 seat arena or whatever, and they sold 110 shirts.
110.
Yeah, they would be
how much of their
thousands of t-shirts a night.
Yeah, of course.
So like the squeeze on people is real. Like we sold like seven t-shirts at Hellfest. Like
what is that? All you sold? Holy shit!
It's because people do not.
And your merch is fucking class, Joe. I mean,
but it's not like I think it's different. Like if you're at home and you're at a club show or whatever, if you're at one of your gigs, like that you're putting on in Cork, like people go knowing that they're going to try and support the bands. But like whenever people are having to pay big money in, like at a Kiss show or like at Hellfest, they're having to make decisions that they're like, you know what, as much as I would like to go to Damnation and buy t-shirts from everyone, I'm going to have to, to say, right, I need to actually spend that money on beer, or I need to spend on whatever, So people are being squeezed in a massive, massive way. So I think there could be hard times for bands if people can't afford to support them with merch the way that they have been doing for the last 10 years. Then
that's a massive eye-opener there, Joe, when you just said there that you sold 6. Do Hellfest take a cut of that as well?
Yeah. To be fair, though, I have to say about Hellfest and the merch, it's in a terrible place. Like you would have to go looking for it, and it's
somewhere I think of buying merch myself anyway.
Yeah,
like
but if you compare Joe to Damnation, where The merch was like in the center. It was really accessible. It was
one thing I'd also say, Danielle, is though, like, that was before, like, Damnation was whenever people still had a bit more disposable income. Like, you know, things have changed hugely for people in the last few months, and like, it's like Richie going on holiday and stuff. Yeah, it's easy to go and do something like that where you've like planned it X months in advance, but I think people just don't have that 20 pint amount of cash that they had when we were younger.
I'll tell you now about holiday, right? And this is actually relevant to what we're talking about. To stay in the long-term car park in Dublin, right, for 2 weeks, right, was 200 quid for the blue one. The red one, which is closer, is 240 euros, right? So, your car is literally just doing nothing. That's how much you're paying. So the flight then comes in at 2:30 in the morning. So you're not physically able, or you're taking a risk to drive from Dublin. After you pack all your baggage and stuff, you're getting out there at 3:30. You're taking a massive risk then, safety-wise, to try and drive back to Cork, which is like nearly 3 hours, and you're fucking exhausted. So what did we do? We just paid for the fucking air coach. So shout out to Pat O'Regan, Smashing Skull Sessions. I picked up Pat in my Jeep, went into Cork City, offloaded the fucking luggage at the air coach. Pat drove off in my Jeep. Put all the luggage into the air coach, 3 hours up, outside Terminal 2, 70 euros return for the 3 of us.
That's amazing.
That's really good. It's more expensive from Limerick.
No fucking stress.
And
Zero
I had
stress.
that blue car park nightmare on Sunday night coming back. Was waiting like 50 minutes for the little bus to the blue car park to arrive.
What?
It was just like, and there's like empty buses to all the other car parks going. But again, people weren't staying in the red car park because they couldn't afford to. It was everyone was going to the blue car park, you know. So
I came out of the blue car park after going over to Corn, and it charged me like 15 quid more than it said it would when I booked it.
But like,
fuck you, blue car park.
The point is that there's squeezes financially on everybody, especially now for people like us that love going to metal gigs. I'm more or less now. I checked my diary for the whole of the fucking year in relation to gigs to Dublin, and I've only one there, which is I think Gojira, but otherwise I went to Gary Newman, and we stayed with friends. Normally we would stay in a hotel, and we fucking tapped up friends, going, listen, any chance you could put the 2 of us up, myself and Helen, for the night.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was 300 fucking quid, 350.
Well, what are friends for? You know, I think that's the good thing about, you know, having mates. Like you should be able to count on people for those sort of things instead of spending crazy money.
Like Tall John of Siege got the bus up and down that night from Limerick to see Gary Newman in Dublin.
Yeah, like one of the lads was saying he's going to go to Sepultura in Dublin and in Manchester, and after seeing the Hellfest I was like, I'm definitely going to go with you to Manchester because I can get a flight from Shannon on a Friday evening that's like 15 quid. 30 quid over and back.
Bristol, Birmingham are all now coming into play for me in relation to gigs.
Sure, even us going over to see Turnstile.
Oh, that's a great example. Yeah, absolutely.
Us going over to see Turnstile with the flights and everything was cheaper than if they played in Dublin and we went up and stayed a night in Dublin. Like,
perfect
how
example.
Much was the flight again? The flight was like 20.
Like the whole thing came to like $70.
Yeah, return. Like, and it was so handy. Like, and you're just being like, this flight costs less than like. The air coach is return like 30 or something like that. Now. And then when you get to Dublin, you're going to be paying, Jesus fucking Christ, who knows? Like, and I mean,
money.
Like, I can't stress there has been so many people that have been so good with either letting us sleep on couches, or like if I was, you know, with the band or just myself, like people really, really, really are very, very helpful. And it's one of those things like, say if you're organizing a tour or something, and if you have a few bands together, there could be like 15, 16 people, and you don't want to get onto anyone to ask that, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
For even to try split up, and then you're looking at like, right, I just couldn't justify messaging someone being like, hey, what can you help me here? Because I feel like I just don't want to put that on anyone. But then you're looking at like even hostels. If you were to look for a group of people over a certain amount, a lot of hostels will ask like, oh, what kind of group are you?
Is this
like,
a stag or
is a stag, or I put down cultural groups sometimes, just being like, oh, they're cultural groups. And they're like, yeah, no, we don't take bookings. And I clicked on every single one just to see if it's different. I don't know why they gave you the option, because they always say, nah, we don't take bookings. So sometimes it's easier. Like,
wasn't Sean from 10 Ton Slug on about trying to get a bus to get her to get down to gigs from Galway? Galway to Limerick, you know. It's all these factors now that are coming into it. I mean, Joe, thank you. I'm staying with Joe now. I'm going up to Belfast, as I said. Normally, 9 times out of 10, I'll treat myself to a hotel.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like, I would usually go and stay with mates or whatever, but I think we'll probably end up getting a taxi, and like it'll probably cost us like $20 each or whatever. To get back. But sure, like what is 20 quid each compared to having to spend fucking 70 or 80 quid. Yeah. But like Ev, what you were saying about going and staying on people's sofas, and like I think a lot of the tours that you're going to be doing, you're just relying on the niceness of incredibly sound people, you know, and the sort of person who lets you stay on your floor. It's the sort of person who'll make you a really nice breakfast in the morning as well. Like, you know, and people who are like that are generally like that all through life, and they'll just be super sound, you know.
Even saying that with breakfast, I have to give a shout out to Mel. Every single time that I've stayed in Limerick and stayed in her gaff, she's promised to make like a
Mel and Alex's partner.
Yeah. And every time it's like, we're like, cool, we'll do it at this time. And if I'm going up with Richie gets a hotel. Richie will be like, oh yeah, sure, we'll leave 10:30. And I'm like, cool. Richie wakes up and he's tired and he's like, get me the fuck out of here. So I'm just like, they wake up and I'm gone, and I've like made the bed or whatever, and I'm just like, sorry. Yeah. When Richie has to go, he's not going to eat fucking vegetarian sausages anyway.
Remember that actually. Yeah. Well, usually I stay with Brian Hare, but I couldn't because of COVID. You see, that's just another fucking problem. I felt so bad because Mel was saying the night before, I'm going to make Evan such a lovely breakfast, and I'm saying, Evan, did you have the breakfast? No, they're still asleep. I'm going, oh my god, look, I'm outside door and you're going to have to come down. And so look, Danielle offers the service as well.
I've made you breakfast 2 times, Ev. So
and I ate every single bit of it.
But like, this is the reality of it now.
Yeah,
gone are the fucking days where you could go to a gig and book a hotel and, you know, treat yourself. It's fucking gone. It ain't anymore.
And it's crazy even thinking that way about, you know, going to gigs in places like Derry or even like a Limerick or wherever. Like, you know. It's the same thing. If it's on a Saturday night, people are gonna put the hand in, like, you know.
Like, I mean,
we're going over to see Nuclear Assault in London, and we're gonna do it the old school way of like literally fly over, get the train into town, go for pints, go to the gig, have some pints, get the train back to the airport, and get the 5 o'clock flight back home, like, you know.
Jesus.
Wow, when's that, Joe?
In September.
We'll have a chat about that.
But like, you know what? We were just thinking, like,
makes sense though.
Yeah, it's just like, because the other option is wake up in London having paid a fortune to stay 3 somewhere,
hours later,
and then you're having to go and, you know, get out to Stansted anyway, you know. So like the pubs are going to kick people out at 2. Just go and get the Stansted Express, be there at like 3:30 or 4 or whatever, and then get the flight at 5. So and then like at least you're back in your own house at like midday, being all like, right now 8 p.m. and cups of tea, like, you know.
Yeah. But like, I mean, even just for us now to, like, my friend Timmy, shout out to Timmy, we drove up to Worn Out and Cro-Mags there. So that's like, it's not from Cork that we're going from, it's from East Cork. So that's like an extra 30 minutes. So the whole trip takes 1 hour, probably 45, 1 hour, 50 minutes. And get to the gig, great crack, and thank Christ for non-alcoholic Guinness, because that's what Timmy was drinking. So he felt part of the scene.
Yeah.
You don't feel like a dick sucking on a fucking 7-Up. But
I like the old non-alcoholic Guinness, I have to say.
It's amazing.
It's a lifesaver. It really is. But coming back, I was fuck all helped him, because I was just like
shit-faced.
Bananas.
And you know what? Normally I'd be able to stay awake, but I hadn't slept in like fucking 48 hours anyway.
Yeah, you had just gotten back.
Yeah, so I was fucked. But I mean, I did that trip with Timmy. I was the driver for Decapitated, I think it was. And I barely, after dropping Timmy at the All, my eyes were closing within 10. I was still 10 minutes away from my house. Limerick is the bare maxima, is just the maxima I can go to and come back without risking falling asleep in the car. It literally is such a tight margin in relation to it's 20, 30 minutes and my eyes were just closing. I was just going, fuck. Yeah.
I totally get that, Richie, because we went to that gig that you put on, Evan, with Zora. And we drove back to Limerick, and I was like, I have to stay awake because Pete was driving, and I was like, I have to stay awake the whole way, and I was like, kept trying to nod off, and was like, no, I have to stay awake, and it was tough. So
yeah, of course,
it's that bit of a stretch, all right, Richie.
Yeah. Now we have the whole thing with Fibbers, the
smoking area, yeah.
That's gone.
The communal thing now is going to be turned into a hotel, which it's not going to make fuck all of a difference to any of the prices. They're probably going to be more expensive because of how ridiculously central it is. So it's regardless of how much they build, that's not actually going to change any of the prices. Do you know what I mean? I
think the biggest victim in relation to gigs, out of all this fucking expensive traveling, hotels, all that, I think the biggest victim of all this will be the Dublin metal scene.
Yeah.
Because there's a good commute between Cork and Limerick.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so much Limerick to Cork, but there is definitely a good commute between Cork and Limerick. But as I said, I certainly won't be fucking booking any gigs to Dublin in the near future, because my options are very limited in relation to places I can stay.
Well, people from places like Cork and Limerick and Belfast or wherever are used to having to travel to go and do stuff.
Yeah.
And people in Dublin are not used to having to travel. And the more things like Frost and Fire or things of interest happening in other parts of the country, that's one thing, but Dublin bands like Psychosis or any of those sort of Dublin bands, it gets harder and harder to justify traveling to different parts of the country if it's going to cost you a fortune, So,
you have worn, you've got Survivalists and Words That Burn, don't you? Coming up.
Cool.
Yeah. And this is the thing as well. It's
I'd imagine our Survivalists, actually, do you know, are they traveling up and down the same night or?
I don't know what they're doing. They might be staying, but I kind of talked to them after booking it. I just want to get the talk of money out of the way. I don't want to have things where it's on the day you'd see some bands be like, are we getting paid? It's everyone's going to get paid. Do you know what I mean? To try help out as much. You'd love to be able to give every single person in there fucking 200, 300 bucks. But when you have a capacity that you don't want to be taking the piss, do you know what I mean? That's why you're limited in what you can do, but you have to, even if nobody shows up to the gig, you have to pay them, which there's, you hear horror stories of some people just being like, oh, sorry, man. I wasn't able to. It's that's kind of your fucking job.
That's very commonplace, even at festival ground. There's tons and tons of bands playing festivals where, even big bands, their fee might only be $2,000, but they're bringing 4 articulated trucks. Yeah. There were bands playing the same stage before us at Hellfest where they were bringing 30 or 40 crew you know, and et cetera, just because it was all about trying to make the biggest splash you can, you know.
Of course, yeah.
So, and I think it's different, obviously, if you're on the continent anyway, there's nothing to stop you. You know, you may as well bring everything that you have in the back of the van if there's room for it, you know. Whereas, like, that's the thing. Like, you know, Phil Lynott always said that, like, the only way to succeed outside Ireland is on the Holyhead ferry, like, you know. So that's the thing, is like, after all these expenses, you still have to go and, you know.
Like, I mean, I would have loved to have gone 10 ton slug up to Galway to see them, for example, but like, that's a 3-hour fucking journey for me.
See, the reason that
and petrol up and down, like, that's like fucking 120 euros.
Yeah.
Whereas I would never fucking have thought that before. I would have just went, oh, fuck it, I'm going to go.
Well, this is why, like, a lot of the time now, I'll get onto a band, especially if they're from Cork. That's what I did with Siren. I was like, look, I went up with Pavel, came back with them, and I'm just like, I'll help you with all your gear. Do you need help bringing stuff in and out of the car? I'll carry, I'll do whatever. Do you know what I mean? Just to make bringing me in some way better than not having me there. Do you know what I mean? Like, just because otherwise, like, me trying to get down there, trying to find a place to stay, all of that would just add up to way, way more. And like, that's when you're kind of like, fuck it. No, that's what'll put you off then, being like, I'd go, but, you know.
But again, like, what were Ren's expenses for that night? Like,
I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? But like, so like, they had to pay, obviously, petrol. They had a fucking van. They drove up, drove down, you know.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, I think people think.
So is it viable for bands, like for Cork bands, like to go from Cork to Belfast, go to Cork from Galway, go to Cork from Dublin? Like, it's a serious expense now.
Yeah,
the last few months, because it's just gone fucking bananas with actual fuel costs more than anything else.
This is as well why, like, you know, we find it easier doing a string of gigs together for the simple fact that you're making money as you're going. And like, you know, say if you had to go up to Belfast, you do like Cork, Dublin, Belfast. Yep. You're paid for each gig on the way rather than to do one massive journey with
it makes no sense. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, depending on the gig.
But what about the smaller bands that can't do that, Ed?
Well, we're not fucking big, and we don't try.
Look, there is like, but there is. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is.
Yeah, I know.
That's again goes back to public transport, man. Like, it's like,
down
you know,
to public transport.
You know,
that's
if you're in a band, like whenever Evan, we were doing what you were doing, none of us could drive either, and none of us wanted to drive because we were like, I don't want to end up driving all those dickheads around, like, you know. But like, I think that like fucking. From a young person's point of view, you're reliant more and more on public transport to try and get you to the cities that you want to play and get home again. Because if you're playing in, like, you know, fucking Derry or Galway for the first time, you probably don't know anyone there, so you can't like depend on people's civility, you know. But another thing is that, like, for international bands, like someone like Decapitated or whoever, as much as they would be tempted to come and do a bunch of shows, you know, like Black Label Society, I think they did like Limerick 2 nights in Dublin and 2 nights in Belfast. That's like 5 gigs is a lot, like, you know. Whereas now, like, you know, you're talking about the cost of coming over on the ferry to Ireland and then the cost of like driving in between places like Cork and, you know, wherever else that you're going to try and play. So that's the battle. Like, it gets harder and harder to draw bands to Limerick or wherever, whenever it's costing you £100 in fuel from Dublin to get there, you know?
Yeah. Like, I really can't stress enough how merch is usually what financially keeps us afloat on a tour. Like, I really can't stress enough how, and I don't know if it, like, I think, Joe, what you were saying, like, you know, somewhere like Hellfest where there's that bigger entry price, you know, and then people are kind of almost trying to hold on to smaller things. I think if a gig is like a tenner in or whatever, depending on the venue, or people seem to be, I think it's just like a thing with, the metal community or hardcore or whatever, like all of my t-shirts are like band t-shirts or music adjacent. Do you know what I mean? It's the only, it's like, I'll probably get killed for saying this, but it's a much less cheesier battle vest kind of thing. Like just having buying like the actual merch. And I think bands, because of that, are now trying to put more thought and more effort in to what they can do. Like the guys in Merch Limbo, like the stuff they did with the Frustration t-shirts, and I think that's like a 1-color print with halftones. And I'm like, some of the places that have said that you could have got quoted would have been like, oh, that's 3-color print, just to try fuck you over. Like, whereas the lads, because they were in bands before, I think are really starting to
want to be soundy.
They want to be sound,
man. We're doing this UK tour, and like we're definitely in that situation, like where we're reliant on getting a really good turn on merch from people, and we'll see what the story is. Like, as I said,
you do direct to garment, because your stuff is like so many colors. Like this is the thing about being in the band. I know so much about t-shirt. Like when I see a t-shirt, even pennies or whatever, I'm like, holy fuck, how did they?
That's how much that cost to do.
Yeah. Like what's the cost market price on this? Because like every color on a t-shirt is making it more expensive to make. Do you know what I mean? Yep. And there's so many limitations then what you're doing. So in order for a band to get something that's, you want to make something that's good enough that people, even if they don't know your band at all, they'd still be like, oh, that's cool, I'd wear that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, like, you know what, man, I think that like at the end of the day, you're all reliant on the same idea that if you love a band, no matter if it's the Deftones or like, Survivalist or whatever, you have goodwill towards the band, and like maybe you're not going to be going and buying their new album on vinyl, but you're definitely going to try and go to gigs or buy t-shirts or do whatever, And as long as people have goodwill, they will support a band in whatever way that they can, Now, I think that, like, as I was saying about that thing about Kiss earlier on, if you're charging €55 for a t-shirt, people are probably in a situation where it's easy to make that decision. You're like, you know what? I'm broke and, I don't have half the beer money that I used to have for going to this Kiss gig. So I'm not going to spend 60 quid on a Kiss t-shirt,
Yeah.
So, like, you have to make it an attractive proposal, and that's where a big deal is, trying to find small things that people can buy, so that if you can't afford to spend 20 quid on a t-shirt, you can buy a lighter or a patch or whatever it is,
Cro-Mags had flip-flops. That's class, like.
It's all
man, literally nearly every single thing that I saw, and I was checking after a while, being like, Harley's wearing Cro-Mags flip-flops. I was like, literally everything.
Night Demon had hot sauce, and they were all like,
that's something I really want to do.
What?
Like Night Demon were like, our hot sauce like kills it in places. Like there'll be like certain countries we go to, like we'll sell lots of bottles of hot sauce tonight, and you're just like,
ours did that.
Metal Cell hot sauce. Ooh.
I will help you make that. Also,
it shouldn't be a hot sauce. If there was a Metal Cell, it should be like a Ballymaloe type relish, like an oniony relish. That's what we all really want. Like,
I bought the Cro-Mags baseball t-shirt, and it was €25, and it was a class t-shirt.
That's not bad.
And it was that was reasonable.
That's well priced.
Yeah, it was reasonable. Yeah,
very well priced.
That's okay, no, for baseball.
And to be fair,
for Cro-Mags as well. Do you know what I mean? Like usually with bigger bands, because they're touring so much, they will have it. Like, with bands that are kind of making their living from touring, I do understand a slightly more of a price, because they have a team that's working.
A baseball t-shirt, you're going to be paying 20, 25 anyway. An Irish metal band or anything.
Yeah, 100%.
So for the Cro-Mags, 25 quid, fucking class. Yeah,
very good.
Like the best t-shirt I ever bought, Joe, was the Gamma Bomb one. Everybody fucking raves about that Gamma Bomb one that I wear.
I still have to get my Gamma Bomb one that I won on the live stream.
It exists. I can guarantee it.
Were you going to say something, Danielle?
Was that last year?
There
we go.
Ooh, that's class.
I'll come up and get it.
You will too. But,
Well,
yeah,
did
like,
you
I
buy
don't know.
any
Like,
merch in Hellfest, Anivy, Joe or Danielle? No.
No, and it comes back to that. Well, actually, I was going to go to that big, huge metal market because I always go and get something from there. But I actually just didn't have time between the heat and everything like that. Everybody said it was suffocating in there anyway.
Putting on more clothes seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was like, I don't want to go put on more clothes.
Yeah.
But I would usually buy merch there. But I was just going to give out about the price of merch at Tool was supposed to have been. I was there.
How much was the t-shirt? The tour shirt?
I think were people saying it was 45, and I could be wrong now because I didn't go up to the merch stand. But what I did hear was that they had a signed poster for 300 quid.
Yeah,
hell,
I know.
Isn't that crazy? Because if you think about
like,
it, like that's literally the poster cost them 50p, and it cost them $0 for the 4 guys to sign it. Like, you know.
But I know a guy from back home that has on that tour. He went to, what was it, like 5 or 6 of the gigs, traveled with them, got the t-shirt at every single gig, and it's like
it cost you a
when
couple of
see
grand.
the haul that he has, it's like, mate, there's a car in that. Like,
I have to say, like, I went to Maiden in Belfast, and like, right, fair enough, they are money grabbing whores at the best of times, like, but like, they still, like, it was 60 quid for a ticket instead of 100 quid, and you know their t-shirts were 30 quid. Like, they definitely.
To know what, fair folks.
That's grand. Like, you know, for a huge
sterling.
Yeah, 30 sterling.
Well, that's different.
But the thing is, man, 30 sterling is probably €35 now. Look, you know, the difference is
still pricey.
But like, I think it's a different vibe. Whereas if it's someone like Tool, where it's 120 quid for a seating ticket to the gig, and then you're charging people 50 quid for a t-shirt, like,
seriously, like,
it was worth it though.
Yeah, but
it
you
was
have to
worth
love
it.
Tool.
Danielle,
like,
did you stay in Dublin?
I did.
There you go. How much did that fucking gig cost you with drink, tickets, and
mushrooms, acid? Like, it all adds up, you know.
That's like 300
to be
quid
fair,
each.
Yeah,
it didn't matter because they were worth it.
Yeah, they 100% were. I have absolutely no qualms in saying that. I actually stayed in, and I didn't realise until afterwards, I stayed in the evil hotel that's taking over Fibbers. I didn't realise it was that hotel. I would have shot on the floor or something if I had done that.
Should have been fun.
I don't think it was mad expensive actually. I think it was like 160, and that was including breakfast for the two of us, which wasn't the worst. And it was a really nice hotel. But I've heard some people paying mad money. Like, I booked it before the Tool gig was even like on sale. So probably went up in price after that. But that's still a few months ago. Like,
it's nuts. What the punter now is expected to pay for a big European or American band coming into Ireland. It's just fucking crazy.
It is tough.
Yeah.
You know,
you're better off going to Birmingham, Bristol, and all those.
But that's part of the thing. Like, what we were talking about going to Berlin to go and see a bunch of bands weren't really even massively fussed on seeing, to go and get sloshed.
Yeah.
You know, but like, that was still you were probably only talking about 120 quid as an outlay for your flights and tickets and hostel. Like, you know.
He's caught.
I know.
See, the thing
is he trying to get something?
When are you going to guest? We want to get Ruben in for his guest presenting slot. When's that happening?
It'll happen sooner or later. Like,
yeah.
But with regards to that festival that we were going to go to, like, I remember, like, when we got the tickets were so cheap when it was cancelled, I didn't even send them back for a refund because it didn't even feel worth my time to fucking go to the post office and send them and wait for them to send me something back. I was like, whatever, keep my 25 or whatever, how much it was. I can't even remember how much it was now. Like, but if that was Tool tickets, I'd be like, I'd fucking fly over and hand it to them myself, being like,
"Yep,
come on."
So let's do that. Let's try and figure out some sort of adventure episode where we can go to Greece and go and see Extreme or something like that. Doesn't that sound good?
100%.
That sounds great.
Yeah, like,
or whoever.
Go to Damnation, like.
100%.
Well, actually, I'm going to Damnation anyway. Are you?
I was thinking of going.
I was thinking because Sepultura are playing in Conjure are playing in Manchester the Tuesday, and I think Sepultura are playing the Wednesday, and then I could work from Manchester Thursday and Friday, and then go to Damnation on Saturday.
I love this. I love the strategy. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, November.
November. It's the second weekend, I think, in November.
Okay.
Yeah. Are tickets sold out, or are they still?
No.
They're not.
So it's in the arena now.
It's in Manchester.
Would you go to Damnation with all of us? Remember, like the Berlin thing?
Because I heard some bands who are playing that'll tell you when we've stopped recording.
Okay.
Oh.
So I have
for Damnation.
Yeah.
Evan, do you know the fucking Drain played Manchester last weekend?
For Outbreak?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm well aware. If we weren't playing with Cro-Mags, I'd be there without a doubt. Without a doubt, I would have been out over.
And you never passed on the information. This is the problem now between me and you. We've got issues. We've got issues.
You were supposed to drive
is a breakdown in communication.
Oh, actually, I couldn't go because I was in school.
Yeah, there we go. See?
Fair enough.
But yeah, they have the tickets already for sale for next year in a bigger venue.
Okay.
That.
Yeah. Christian Baylor was on to me. He sent on some pictures of it. Looked amazing in Manchester.
Yeah, Wayne and Claire were there as well.
Were they there as well?
They were, yeah.
Lads from Below the Neck were there.
No, man, that's a class. That sounds great. Is that once a year or every year? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolute mates fest, like.
So anyway, listen, I'm going to leave everybody go. The most important thing out of tonight is please buy band merchandise. Simple as that. There's just no other way around it. If you're going to see a band in a concert, we're going to be going to see Crypto the Riff, myself and Joe, and I will be buying merch. It's vitally important to keep a band. The expenses are through the roof at the moment. And, just literally, as I'm always saying, support your local metal scene. Thank you, Evan, Danielle, and Joe, for coming on the show tonight. Hope you all enjoyed it. Take care, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.